No one could calm the baby alien dragon in crisis. Then the human mechanic made Bub. No one could calm the baby alien dragon in crisis. Then the human mechanic made Bub beginning. The roar in the hangar. The vast hangar of the celestial haven trembled with a roar that made even the steel beams shudder. Sparks rained down from overhead repair drones as the creature's wings thrashed, creating a storm of sound and fury. Crew members scrambled behind barricades, shouting over the chaos. Contain it! Someone get the stasis nets up. Captain Reese barked, her scaled hand gripping the comms tightly. But containment was impossible. The creature, barely the size of a hover truck, was a baby Varnathian dragon, glowing with molten veins of plasma beneath translucent scales. Its cries were not just sound. They vibrated through the air like seismic waves, short-circuiting panels, cracking lenses, and frying delicate sensors. Every species aboard, Kether engineers, insectoid tacticians, telepathic Etherians, had tried to calm it. Every method failed. The baby dragon was in distress, and its power could melt the entire docking bay if unchecked. Its mother, the legendary Terra Starflame, had perished 3 days ago in the asteroid war over Calian 4. The Celestial Haven, a massive coalition flagship, had rescued the orphan hatchling in a desperate act of goodwill to the Varnathians, a species that could turn star systems into ash when enraged. But the baby, without its mother's psychic bond, was unraveling. Captain Reese rubbed her forehead, her 3 eyes dim with exhaustion. If we can't calm it, we'll have to sedate it indefinitely. We can't risk another meltdown. That was when a hesitant voice from the coroner spoke. Captain? I might be able to help. All heads turned. A lone human stepped forward, wiping grease from his hands. His name tag read E.J. Hartman. He was a mechanic, one of the last humans left in the fleet after Earth's fall a century ago. He wasn't a xenobiologist or a telepath. He fixed things. Engines, hulls, drones, broken metal, not living fire-breathing monsters. Captain Reese frowned. Hartman, this is an engine that needs oil. That thing breathes plasma. He scratched the back of his neck. Yeah, but maybe it just needs something to hold on to. The hangar quaked again as the baby let out another pulse of sound that cracked the reinforced glass of the observation deck. Emergency lights flickered red. Reese sighed. You have 10 minutes before we call in a tranquilizer drone. Do whatever it is you think you can do, human. EJ nodded and walked toward the containment barrier as the guards exchanged nervous glances. The dragon's eyes, massive pools of molten gold, snapped toward him, the air distorted around his body, heat shimmering like a mirage. It hissed, flames licking the floor. He raised his hand slowly. Hey there, little one. Easy, you're scared, huh? The creature's snarl echoed through his chest like a sonic cannon. But EJ kept walking until the heat made his skin prickle. He looked around, at the twisted pieces of metal scattered across the floor from the dragon's earlier thrashings. Then he smiled. I bet you miss your mom. She probably made a sound when she was close, huh? Something like, he began tapping a rhythm on a metal panel beside him. Steady, slow, almost like a heartbeat. Then he hummed. A deep, resonant sound, low enough to match the engine frequencies that always soothed him while working. The dragon paused. Its eyes narrowed, but it didn't roar. Yeah, he said softly. That's it. You're just looking for something familiar. He sat cross-legged near the barrier, continuing the hum. The hangar slowly quieted. The crew watched in disbelief as the dragon's wings folded inward and it tilted its head. Steam curled from his nostrils, but the fire dimmed. Captain Reese whispered to her lieutenant. What is he doing? Communicating, the lieutenant replied, but not telepathically. The mechanic kept tapping, humming, repeating. Eventually, he reached into his toolkit and began assembling something small and round. A cracked maintenance sphere, an old drone with a busted chassis. I'm going to make you a friend, he said quietly. You look like you could use one. The baby dragon, curious, edged closer, the barrier humming between them. EJ worked fast, soldering pieces together, patching a broken circuit. Within minutes, the drone whirred to life, a spherical bot with blinking blue lights and a small speaker that emitted a low, steady rhythm mimicking his hum. There, he said, your own little companion. The dragon tilted its head, then gave a small chirp, a high-pitched sound, uncertain but not hostile. EJ grinned. You like it, huh? I'll call him Bub. Yeah, Bub. And to everyone's shock, the baby dragon made a sound that almost resembled a purr. Middle, Bub, and the mechanic. By the next day, news of the human who calmed the baby dragon spread through the ship like wildfire. Captain Reese ordered that EJ be officially assigned to Project Bub. His job was to keep the hatchling calm, feed it, and find a way to stabilize its volatile energy. It wasn't easy. The baby, now nicknamed Flare, was unpredictable. It chewed through armor cables, melted feed trays, and once tried to swallow a plasma torch. But Bub, the little drone, followed it everywhere, playing soothing hums and flashing rhythmic lights that matched the creature's heartbeat. Flare responded to Bub like a lost child clinging to a toy. EJ discovered that Flare's scales glowed brighter when Bub emitted certain frequencies. He modified the drone speaker to play deeper harmonic tones, similar to Varnathian lullabies he found in the ship's database. At one point, while EJ adjusted Bub's circuits, Flare nudged him gently with its snout, rumbling softly. It was almost affectionate. You're not so bad for Space Dragon, EJ chuckled. Guess we're both a little lost, huh? He didn't tell anyone, but he felt a strange bond forming. Maybe because Flare was an orphan just like him. Earth was gone, destroyed in a war that the universe barely remembered. Humanity was scattered. Refugees, mercenaries, mechanics. No one had called him kid or son in decades. Now, this dragonling seemed to look at him with the same searching eyes he once had when staring at the stars, wondering if anyone still cared. Weeks passed, and EJ kept modifying Bub. He added a small claw attachment that let the drone fetch metal scraps for Flare to play with. He added sensors that could detect emotional fluctuations in the dragon's biothermal field. The dragon grew faster than expected. Its wingspan now filled half the hangar, but it remained calm, especially when Bub floated near. One evening, Captain Reese called EJ to the command deck. "You've done what no xenobiologist could, Hartman," she said. "But there's a problem." She brought up a holographic projection. The Varnathian Empire's war fleet. They've sent an ultimatum. They want the hatchling returned. They claim its sacred royal lineage, Teretha's offspring. They're sending ships as we speak. EJ's stomach dropped. "That's good, right? They'll take care of her." Reese shook her head. "Not exactly. Without her mother psychic bond, they consider the hatchling defective. They might destroy it rather than let it live in imbalance. The Varnathians believe an unstable dragon could ignite a solar system." EJ clenched his fists. "She's not defective. She's learning. She's just a kid." "I know," Reese said quietly, "but they won't see it that way." The next day, the Celestial Haven was surrounded by shimmering warships. The Varnathian delegation arrived. Tall, crystalline beings with eyes like liquid flame. Their leader, Archduke Trelvar, stood before the containment hangar, staring coldly at Flare. The creature cannot control its power, Trelvar declared. Its existence endangers systems. We will take it and perform the rite of ascension. EJ stepped forward. "You mean execution?" The Archduke turned his blazing eyes on the human. "You speak out of turn, fleshling." "Then let me prove you wrong," EJ said, heart pounding. "Let me show you she's stable." The Archduke sneered. "You would risk your life for this abomination?" EJ smiled faintly. "She's not an abomination. She's my friend." The Trial of Flame. The Varnathians agreed to a test. Flare would undergo the Trial of Flame, a ritual flight and plasma discharge sequence that only a stable dragon could perform. If she failed, they'd terminate her instantly. The hangar transformed into a containment chamber filled with sensors and containment shields. Flare stood at the center, trembling, Bub hovering beside her. "Hey, Flare," EJ whispered through the comm, his voice soft. "You're not alone, okay? Bub's with you. I'm with you." The Varnathian observers chanted softly, the air shimmering with psionic energy. Let the hatchling release the flame of balance. Flare let out a low, frightened whine. Her scales flickered erratically. Plasma built up along her wings, unstable, wild. "Her energy's spiking," shouted a technician. "Containment field at 80%. Flare, focus." EJ called. "Listen to Bub. Remember the sound." Bub began to emit the hum, the same steady rhythm that had calmed her months ago. The lights pulsed in sync with her heartbeat. Slowly, the chaos faded. The plasma stabilized. The hangar filled with light so pure and radiant it felt like sunlight after endless night. Flare spread her wings and released a controlled stream of plasma into containment field, smooth, elegant, like painted light. The Varnathians fell silent, their psionic senses stunned. The Archduke's voice was barely a whisper. "Impossible! The hatchling found balance without a bond, mother?" EJ smiled proudly. She made her own bond. The ceremony concluded in awed silence. Even the hardened warriors bowed slightly in respect. The Archduke turned to EJ, his expression unreadable. "You, human, have accomplished what our kind could not. Perhaps the legends of your species' intuition were not exaggerated." Flare nuzzled Bub, then turned her enormous head toward EJ, letting out a soft cooing rumble. The mechanic stepped forward and rested his hand against her warm snout, ending the mechanic's promise. The Varnathians granted Flare sanctuary, but they insisted she remain with her chosen bond, as they now called EJ Hartman. The human mechanic was officially designated as her caretaker and liaison. The hangar became their shared home. Flare continued to grow, learning to control her plasma breath and navigate the ship's corridors. Bub, though still the size of a melon, remained her constant companion, sometimes riding between her wings as she glided through the docking bay. EJ often sat beneath the observation deck, working on new upgrades for Bub, while Flare curled nearby like a massive, glowing cat. Sometimes he'd hum, and she'd hum back, a resonant sound that vibrated to the hull like a heartbeat shared between species. One night, Captain Reese visited, arms crossed but smiling faintly. "You've turned chaos into calm, Hartman. You've done something rare in this galaxy." He looked up from his work. "I didn't do it alone. Bub did most of the work." She chuckled. "Don't sell yourself short. You made Bub, and you gave that creature something we all need, connection." EJ nodded slowly. "Yeah, maybe I needed it too." He gazed at Flare, her eyes shimmering softly in the low light. "You know, when I was a kid, we had this saying back on Earth. You fix what's broken, no matter how hard it gets. Guess that applies to hearts too." Reese smiled, then left him to his quiet workshop. Bub floated beside him, blinking softly. Flare let out a deep, contented rumble as she drifted into sleep. The hangar lights dimmed, the stars beyond the viewport glimmering like distant memories. EJ leaned back against a crate, looking at the stars. "Don't worry, kid," he whispered. "I'll keep you safe. No one's taking you away again." Bub beeped softly in agreement. For the first time in years, EJ felt like he belonged. not to a ship or a mission or a dying species, but to something alive, something that needed him as much as he needed it. The baby alien dragon, once a force of chaos, slept peacefully, her tail curled protectively around the small drone. The mechanic closed his eyes, the rhythmic hum above filling the air. In the silence between stars, a human mechanic, a baby dragon, and a homemade drone formed a family no one in the galaxy could have imagined.